Everywhere you look on the internet, you hear men talking about Stoicism, but why? Why is this ancient Roman philosophy caught on so strongly with men searching for a purpose? Well, that is because it's such a practical philosophy. It doesn't require that you subscribe to a specific god, or that you make a massive leap of faith. Actually, you could apply the principles of Stoicism right now, today, and I guarantee you it would benefit your life. So, without further ado, let's take a look at the three greatest Stoic philosophers. That is Epictetus, Seneca, and Marcus Aurelius. Epictetus was born in 50 CE in modern-day Turkey. Though he was born a slave and likely had some disabilities, he grew to become a legend among the Stoic philosophers. We do not know why or when he was freed from his bondage, but we do know that he went on to study Stoicism under Musonius Rufus. Later, he became a teacher himself, until he was expelled from Rome by Emperor Domitian in 89 CE. This ended up being a blessing in disguise, though, as he managed to form his own philosophical school in modern-day Greece. His most famous works are Discourses and Enchiridion. Now, let's take a look at his thoughts on Stoicism. To Epictetus, it's essential that we be able to distinguish what we can control from what we can't control. The things that we can control, we ought not worry about because we can change them. And the things that we can't control, we ought not worry about as well because, well, there's nothing we can do about them, so why worry? There's things that we can control like our thoughts, desires, judgments, and reactions. And of course, we cannot control things like other people's reactions, or often even outcomes. A Stoic must be virtuous, having wisdom, courage, justice, and temperance. Wisdom is our ability to use our reason to understand the world. Courage is durability to face adversity and endure suffering. Justice is our ability to do right, and temperance is our ability to maintain control of our desires. Freedom is also essential to Epictetus' philosophy, though of course his concept of freedom is based on Stoic principles. Essentially, freedom to Epictetus isn't about being able to do whatever one desires. It's about being in control of one's mind to the extent that a person only acts using rationality and virtue. Rationality is what allows us to distinguish between what we can control and what we cannot control. And lastly, for Epictetus, we cannot fight fate. We must resign ourselves to what is. This allows us to truly be in alignment with nature and to maintain inner peace. We leave Epictetus with one of my favorite quotes from him. Quote, "As the sun does not wait for prayers and incantations to be induced to rise, but immediately shines and is saluted by all, so do you also not wait for clapping hands and shouts and praise to be induced to do good, but be a doer of good voluntarily, and you will be beloved as much as the sun." End quote. Seneca was born around the same time as Jesus, somewhere in modern-day Cordoba, Spain. His family was wealthy and highly influential in ancient Rome, so he received a world-class education. He then became a quaestor in Rome for a time before being exiled by Emperor Claudius for allegedly being involved in a conspiracy against him. He was recalled to serve as the tutor and then advisor to Emperor Nero. Yes, that Emperor Nero. The emperor slowly became more and more insane, and in 65 CE, Seneca was ordered to commit suicide after he allegedly was involved in another plot against the emperor. He followed his orders stoically. Like all Stoics, virtue was the highest good for Seneca and what we must all seek to attain. He, of course, believed in Stoic ideals that virtue consists of wisdom, courage, justice, and temperance, as we previously discussed. This virtue must be practiced, and in order to practice it, we must use our rationality. He believed that divine reason governed the universe. This divine reason sets up all the principles that make up the structure of the world around us. To live in harmony with nature, we must tap into this reason and uncover the truth. Self-discipline is what allows us to maintain our rationality when our emotions try to steer us away from what is right. Along with self-discipline, we must be extremely mindful of our actions and ensure that they are in line with divine reason. Lastly, he believed that we must focus on how we react to events and not on events themselves, because we can never control the external world around us. A great quote from Seneca is, "The greatest obstacle to living is expectancy, which hangs upon tomorrow and loses today." Marcus Aurelius is perhaps the best known of the Stoics. He was born in 121 CE in Rome, with both of his parents being esteemed members of the nobility, which allowed him the finest education. In 138 CE, Emperor Hadrian adopted Antonius Pius, under the condition that he adopted two boys, Marcus Aurelius and Lucius Verus. These boys became co-emperor until the death of Lucius in 169 CE. During his reign, he spent much of his time at war defending the borders. When he wasn't in combat, though, he was practicing philosophy. His work, Meditations, is renowned the world over as the seminal text on Stoicism. He governed using his Stoic principles, which helped hold his empire together and make his people prosper during the final stage of the Pax Romana. In 180 CE, Marcus died of natural causes while on a military campaign near the Danube River, leaving his empire to his son Commodus, who sadly would do his best to destroy it. Essential to Marcus's philosophy is the idea that life is finite, and no matter how hard we try, we cannot defeat death. You must instead take the time that you have on Earth and live according to the divine reason that governs the universe. You likely have noticed that this is a central theme of the other Stoics as well. Marcus believed that in order to be virtuous, you had to be working towards the common good and being compassionate and empathetic. A simple way to work for the common good was to fulfill your duties and responsibilities. Now, of course, Marcus's responsibility was to be an emperor, and therefore he had a great burden on his shoulders. He fulfilled this role virtuously, though, perhaps more virtuously than any other emperor in history. As you can probably tell from the title of his main text, Marcus believed in meditation, and this was because it allowed time for self-reflection and to develop your self-control. This is essential for growth and allows reason to take the forefront of the mind. Resilience was another key trait for Marcus Aurelius, and that is because our losses teach us a lot more than our victories do. Lastly, he believed that we must live simply and without luxury, and that is because the richest man is not the one with the most possessions, but the one with the least desires. We leave Marcus with one of his greatest quotes: "Waste no more time arguing about what a good man should be one." Now I must leave you with a task, and that task is to sit down and reflect on your life. Think about everything you do on a daily basis, and then think about everything we learned in this video. I imagine there's going to be quite a few principles that you can apply to your life, and I promise you, you'll be much better for it. Thank you so much for watching, and please go check out my website, westernrenaissance.com, where we are attempting to revive the West and keep it prospering for many, many generations to come. Thanks.